Hello, everyone, and welcome aboard. That's if anybody is actually here, and there's nobody in the room except me and Ash. G'day, buddy. Ash may not be ready. Oh, there's some weird things going on here, let me tell you. Okay. I'm going with that screen. Okay, that seems to be working. And once again, welcome aboard. G'day, mate.
Hi, mate. How are you?
I'm going okay. I
I
think
got
there's
in
only
this
you and me
week.
here.
Well, let's talk.
I think there must be a reason for that. And I noticed that on YouTube, the suggested time is in an hour.
Oh,
And I,
right.
because daylight saving, you went last week, didn't you, or a week before? I can't remember.
Yes. Yeah,
And of
yeah.
course, in Australia, that's been yesterday. So the Australian people would be totally confused, as I was. But I simply look at my world clock these days to work out what's going on, and it tells me that it is now 4 minutes to 8 in the UK, which
Yeah.
means we're 4 minutes away from London Open, which means here we are. How you
Here we
doing?
are, mate. Yeah. Well,
It's been a
I'm doing
while.
well.
We haven't been the show for a while.
No. Well, I couldn't. Yeah, I don't know what happened last week. I just couldn't get in. Um,
Well,
I've,
last week
I've,
it was a holiday, wasn't it? Wasn't it
oh, the week
Easter?
before. Yeah, the week before I couldn't get in. I just it didn't matter
Oh,
what
that's
I.
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I just think I forgot my logins, and then because the problem is I James sent me one of those last pass password things,
Oh, yes,
uh,
yes.
but it just didn't work for me. I couldn't get it working at all. So I got him to just send me the password, but for whatever reason last week, 2 weeks ago, I just couldn't get in. But um, but yeah, I'm here now, mate. And
Oh, you
I'm
can't see me.
looking.
I can see you.
I can't see you. No,
There
where
we
are
go.
you? Oh, there you are.
Only
Look.
because my camera's off. That's all.
Oh.
No other reason.
Um, So I forgot to evolve in the end. I was up so late to analyzing this data, but
Oh,
so I
okay.
forgot to evolve. But I'll tell you what I did.
Well, yep.
What has churned out is Aussie dollar long. Um, I don't know if it's the same for you, but that's what's. But actually, let me tell you what's interesting is the Aussie dollar I've got as a long, and I've got the Nasdaq as a short, which are totally different sort of
Mm,
positions to
mm.
take. Um, Making it quite difficult. I mean, shorting the Nasdaq is eminently difficult anyway. It's just an absolute bark. Um, but the Aussie dollar long looks nice, but I missed my entry. I set my entry overnight, and it didn't get me in by pips. Nothing really. How they can justify it, I don't know, but I'm not in. And now I don't want to chase it.
Mate, I've had that many arguments with those people that you're talking about,
Oh,
and they're all tarred with the same brush. And my apologies to anybody who's actually not involved in that.
I'm
I
gutted.
remember in Bali, Paul, because we had a few brokers in the room, he walked up to me and whispered in my ear, "Go easy on my brokers."
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
find
well,
that
I'm not
difficult.
in, mate. Do you know what? I'd love to blame the broker, but I can almost guarantee it's human error. Um, I think I just set my target. I think I set my level just a pip or two just too low.
Oh, don't you love that?
Oh yeah, and now it's moving. I'd already be 0.5% up on the trade, which is ugly. And as I say, I don't want to chase it because even though I think it's going, it didn't get my level. But my problem now is my analysis sort of like draws me out for the week. So
Mm.
am I not going to trade for the rest of the week because I didn't get that? Quite possibly, quite possibly.
Well,
Um,
we'll see.
yeah,
I've got Aussie. I find it difficult to be bullish anything, frankly, but
yeah,
I think of the bunch, I picked out Aussie, yeah, warm, dollar warm, and probably yen warm.
warm
Those
as in
three.
you'd be looking for longs in the yen.
Yes, yes, warm, not hot, but yeah, kind of favouring those three
Yeah,
over anything else. Still bearish Kiwi. I think that's still under pressure.
yeah.
CAD's come under pressure.
I tell you what, the
Um,
CAS. I don't know. Did you see the jobs numbers last week from Canada?
no, I didn't.
unbelievable, absolutely astonishing numbers. Like to the point where, I mean, you know, sometimes you don't know whether something's priced in. The move, obviously, that we saw from what happened with the CAD on Friday was pretty aggressive. But the numbers coming out of the jobs market, I mean, IV PMIs were solid again. But I think the problem that Canada's got now is that those IV PMI numbers are potentially at a bit of a peak, and that's, you know, ultimately going to be a bearish signal for Canada. But the jobs numbers are, geez, I didn't, hold on a minute, I haven't updated my my spreadsheet, so I'll bring it up into investing.com, and I'll show you. But it's hard now, you know, to be too bullish on the CAD. I don't know whether my kind of, I was bullish the CAD, and I've sort of I've demoted it to neutral. I can't just go out and out bearish because some of the other numbers were pretty good, but the jobs numbers were astonishingly bad, like really surprising.
Someone hasn't hit the wrong button, have they, by any chance?
Well, this is the you know, it was a surprising number. It really was. I'll bring it in. Let me see. So if I show you my screen here.
Yeah, please. I've got nothing pending, by the way, and I'm not trading gold as a breakout because it's already broken out again.
Yeah. Okay. Here we go. That's Monday. So look at this. This is Friday. So I was happy to go long CAD. I was actually going short Euro CAD for the whole time before these numbers. But then you get, look at this, employment change negative 2.2, but that's not the significant thing. It was 40,000.
Yeah,
and then it was 20.
Significant.
Yeah, and so that's the significant drop. Full-time employment change from 70,000 down to negative, well, I guess 700. Part-time employment change, another huge drop. Unemployment rate went from 5.8% to 6.1%. You know, normally they edge in a direction, but this didn't edge in a direction. Now, if we have a look at the employment change, difficult to see actually there. But it was, I think the fact that it was floating along quite nicely, pretty robust, and then all of a sudden, boom. But the strange thing, and this is where it becomes all a little bit kind of, you know, anomalous in a way. IV PMI is 63 63 dead, and 57.5 on the IV PMI, the NSA number, so the non-national whatever it is. But look at this. When you look at the IV PMIs, I mean, I suppose I would call this the higher end, the 63. If you look along this number, yes, we do get these ones at the you know, and it could grow further. I mean, the highest one here is right up the way to 60 or 75. So there are some, you know, extreme levels on this, and this one here was at 62, 68. So, you know, it may well have some room to go, but it's surprising. You know, you got PMIs which are surging. Really, you got a surging PMI, and yet you got a surging unemployment number. So there's just this anomaly really in the Canadian economy, which now makes it, I think, eminently more difficult to trade. Not an easy kind of.
The way you mean.
Yeah. And then you sort of like look at it and sort of go, okay, well, let's have a look at potential levels then. And if I bring in this.
Hi, Roberto. Thanks for joining us. Looks like somebody's got the timing right apart from you.
Hi, Roberto.
Everyone's missed the boat with the daylight savings, but Roberto's in. Good on you, Roberto. Thanks for joining, mate.
Any questions you got, Roberto, we can get to you 100%. Oh, goodness me, actually, that's Euro Aussie. I like the Aussie today, mate. Yeah, and then you look at this is sort of like
short Euro Aussie. I'm already short Euro Aussie. I'm already a long Aussie Swiss, so I can't really expose myself any more to Aussie bullishness, I'm afraid.
Nice move, mate. So here we go. Look at this. This is. I mean, this is a surge, really. Now we had. Now we've got interest rate. We got loads of interest rates this week as well. So a little bit more tricky, but
yes,
this is a surge. coming down. So we had Euro news here. CPI data really sort of like, a little bit of a hangover from that. Then the euro starts to come up, and it was this area here that was it that area or just slightly higher? This area here, I think I was getting interested in shorting it, but it just popped straight through. But now we're here. The interesting thing about this level is that it is kind of coming off this. So we are at resistance on the euro CAD. So you can't really go long on euro CAD at this area. But after that awful, I mean, just astonishingly bad employment number, how can you possibly take a short? I don't think you can.
NS.
Yeah. No long, no short. You're absolutely right. The one thing about the Aussie as well is that there's no central bank this week. With where the others have got kind of central bank issues kind of in the way. We got BOC out this week. We got ECB this week. I think we got the S&B. There's
So you got the BOE as well.
And the BOE.
ECB. Sorry, ECB.
BOC.
BOC and
RBNZ. No, yeah, might be. RBNZ aren't this week?
Yes, I think you're right.
We got BOC, RBNZ. We've got the ECB. Yeah, those guys are in the seat this week. So it makes it a little bit trickier. Aussie, the euro versus the Aussie though. This looks like a pretty good trade to me. Looks like a definite option. Aussie against.
Yeah, I'm in that.
You're in this one. Yeah, I know you're in this one, which is great. Aussie versus the dollar, mate, this week. Astonishing. Now I'm trying to get into this trade here. I literally had my order because I was asleep. I woke up. This kind of opened up, and I was like, great. Well, I'll put an order in down here. I had my order in near this low, and it just didn't pip me in. So now I've knocked it up a couple of pips to try and get me in. But if you look along here,
have you got the Aussie index available to you?
No. The stocks?
No. The Australian dollar index.
No.
I'll show you that in a minute. This is this incredible tweezer bottom sitting on there.
Oh right, yeah. Show me that because we've got seasonal data this week. The Aussie is unbelievably bullish against the dollar.
Oh, okay.
And I'll tell you how unbelievably it is. I'm going to bring up the. Unbelievably, like as in you don't see these numbers very often. Kind of unbelievably. Let me see what I've got here.
That is interesting.
Yeah, so I'll show you. The pound is quite strong as well, but there are problems with the pound. Okay, so Aussie numbers here. What's the date today? It's really April 7th, isn't it? We're sort of starting April 7th to April 14th.
I do have a new trade to share with you as well. But
I can't wait for that.
It's on a weekly chart.
Okay, all right, mate.
There's no rush.
I will finish with this. So the Aussie from this week right through to the week, over the last 10 years, if you go Aussie long against the dollar, it has lost. Have a little guess, mate. How many times do you think it's lost?
I'm going to go over how many? 10 years?
10 years.
I'm going to go 1.
You're right. Bang on. 1 loss. Over 15 years, it's lost 3 times. Over 25 years, it's lost 5 times.
That'll do me.
It is Aussie versus the dollar this week is unbelievably bullish. Unbelievably bullish.
Well, I was going to tell you I've got a bearish setup.
You got a bearish setup, have you? Oh,
well, no, I haven't. It's one of my things. If this doesn't happen, this will, right?
Okay, all right.
I'm expecting it to go long, and if it doesn't, then I've got a short catcher.
Well, I like that. When you look at this on this time frame here, now we've got this is a bit of an issue. That's a little bit of an issue there, which might struggle to get through there, and I hope it does because I want it to come back down again. But when you look at this sort of on longer term time frames, it's scruffy to say the least. But it does look like it is holding this level down here. It's sort of like able to kind of like grab that level down there. There's a level there, there's a level there, there's a level there. A little bit of a false break there. And this looks like, I'm okay with this. I'm okay with it with the way that one looks. But I've got really this pivot is where I'm aiming. I was hoping to get this weekly pivot. I thought maybe the monthly, but I think the weekly pivot coming back down to that area would be good. So that's where I've got my order sitting at the minute, mate. I just want a bit of a pullback, proper pullback. But show me what you got.
Okay, I'll show you the Australian dollar index chart, which is really interesting. Look at that.
Wow.
Yeah.
1 week. Yeah, now that is not going through there, is it?
You wouldn't think so in a hurry, no.
Jeez.
There's a decent target here.
Yes, there is.
67, 66, whatever that means to anybody, but that's the Australian dollar index. I think that's interesting.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
So that's the reason I'm bullish the Aussie.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Okay, so actually, breaking that. Yeah, I like that. Do you know?
And I think when I look at the other indexes, it's the Kiwi that looks under the most pressure to me. So I think Aussie Kiwi short, Aussie Kiwi long makes perfect sense.
Yeah, do you know, COT data like 2 weeks ago was so bullish on the Aussie Kiwi, but it didn't. It didn't really. It did work. It did work. Yeah, it has, but it's edged up. Actually, no, it's no. Actually, no. Yeah, for the last couple of weeks, it's been. Yeah, I mean, it's edged up, but it's been pretty strong, isn't it? But lots of inside bars as well.
That's strong.
Yeah, it has.
That's the weekly chart, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The only
lots
one
of gaps, though, isn't it?
Any doubt is this one,
yeah. Which is,
but of course, now it is at resistance, or might have even poked its nose through resistance.
Yeah, you have to wonder sort of what can happen. I mean, what's going to turn that one around? Difficult to know, isn't it?
Be nice to see a pullback, though, wouldn't
it? Yeah. It would be. It would be. I'll tell you what. Have a look at the euro dollar as well on the daily.
Sure.
Because I thought this was quite interesting.
Here we are.
If you can zoom right in.
Oh.
Yeah, look at that, mate. Look at right. So that's Friday, Thursday. Look at Wednesday's bar. Look where that closed.
Here.
Yes. Look where Thursday's bar closed.
It's slightly above it, yeah.
And look at where Friday's bar closed.
Yeah, it's exactly
it's just going nowhere. It's just like it's going. This is our level.
Yes, indeed. When I see that high test bar, low test bar, I just immediately dismiss it as a trade opportunity.
Yeah, totally. How can you get any? How can you garner any information from that? Impossibility, really, isn't it?
Well, putting an underline under that as well. If you have a look at the pivots, they're completely compressed in here as well. Yeah. So that's showing you and telling you everything you need to know. There's no trade here at the moment for me, anyway.
So the other one, obviously, for me was the Nasdaq. So if you look, I don't know, I know you don't tend to trade the Nasdaq, but the Nasdaq short was the other one.
Well, we can talk about that on currency terms anyway, because the proxy for that's Aussie yen, right?
I know. Did you take that, Dane? Did you take that one on?
It's so tough, isn't it? I've been trying and trying my heart out for the last, I think, 5 years to work out the timing on Aussie yen. And every time I try, it just goes, no, sorry, the yen's so piss weak. We've just got to get rid of it.
Same, mate.
It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. So what are you seeing here?
Well, I'm seeing a definite short. I've got a trend line sort of from January, even one. Well, yeah, that one's that's pretty good. Yeah, I've got a trend line there. I got a break and a retest of a horizontal zone.
Yep.
And just a short. You know, it looks like a short. Tesla actually released some pretty diabolical numbers. And of course, the US economy is so hot, really, when you kind of consider what's going on with interest rates and the economy. They're just completely out of sync with each other. GDP is growing at a pace that it would grow where interest rates would normally be around about the 1.5% mark, 0.5% to 1.5%. Interest rates at 5.5% and GDP growing at a really solid pace, something is going to break. And I know we've been saying it for a long time, and a clock is right twice a day. A broken clock is right twice a day.
Yeah.
But it is one of those that this will break, and it's just a case of when and where. But these signals, they don't come across. They don't come along that often. But even when they do come along, they're not all that robust. As we've said, the Aussie actually looks quite bullish versus the yen.
What I'm seeing here is exactly what I'm seeing on the S&P 500, but the S&P 500 for me is even better, and I'll show you that when we're finished talking about this.
Yeah,
and that's my trade this week. You know far more about the Nasdaq than I do, obviously, but to me, how can we get in here? What's telling us that this is actually turning around apart from that big reversal bar there? That's a telling fact. And what I think we're going to see here is inside bar, inside bar, inside bar, inside bar. I think we're going to consolidate here for quite some time.
Yeah, which will make it a very, very frustrating trade.
Very frustrating. But I think if you can pick it up here somewhere, then happy days. My MO would be to pick it up here.
But one thing about this, though, mate, is that if you sell the Nasdaq, you're going to get paid for it. For holding.
Yeah, well, that's fair enough too.
I mean,
and if
it's
it does
timed
range,
correctly.
who cares?
Yeah, exactly. If it ranges, but it eventually comes down, who cares? Exactly that.
But where's your stop? Is your stop here? Is your stop here?
I'd go above that.
Here,
the bearish bar.
Here?
I'd go above that.
Here.
Yeah, but above that. I mean, if you're measuring from where we are now to the top of that bar, and then all the way down to the most recent support area.
Now, right now to there.
Yeah. What's that?
That's 248.
248, and then to the low, most recent low.
The low here?
The green, the most, Friday's low.
Or here?
Friday,
here.
yeah.
Okay. About the same.
Yeah, so you got a even money trade, but
it's a little bit better actually. But yeah,
it's a bit better coming down. So you got an even money trade, and you're going to get paid on the holding cost as well. So, so that it looks good.
And if that breaks. You're down here somewhere.
Yeah, and you think it would test, wouldn't you? I mean, you think it would test where it's come from, those highs on a longer term time frame. But you've got the Nasdaq. It's just so tough to make this call, really. I like it for a short. I really like it for a short. But as I said before, I like the Aussie dollar long, and that's what's keeping me out of it, really. If I hadn't had the Aussie dollar as a long, if I didn't see some significant weakness in the dollar, then I'd be going for this. I might check the seasonals on the Nasdaq actually.
Do you think it's absolutely correlated, so that if one goes, the other will go the other way?
No.
Do you think that's right? So
no,
there is probably an opportunity there to trade either.
Yes, absolutely right. I mean, sometimes you will see the dollar and the Nasdaq both go in the same direction on occasions. Because correlations get broken. It's a little bit like gold and the stock market, if you like. Sometimes they're really, really tightly correlated, and sometimes they go in completely opposite directions. So for that reason, it's not out of the question to trade this one short. And to be quite honest, this price is closer to where I want to get in than where the Aussie dollar is. I might not get an opportunity with the Aussie dollar now. I don't know. It's only Monday, but it's kind of looking pretty. It's looking pretty bullish already. But the Nasdaq, I quite like the price point, so I wouldn't mind trading. I wouldn't mind having a bite of this and seeing what happens.
All right. With that in mind,
Yeah,
tell me how I can get a better price. Same trade, right? Well,
yeah,
sorry, not quite the same trade, but same exact setup. This is the S&P 500, right? The
yeah.
thing I like about this more than the Nasdaq in terms of a setup is same bar, exactly the same bar, exactly the same response, but it's across the monthly pivot and a trade line. So that I call that a double cross. And the amount of times that works is amazing. And
Oh, all right, okay.
that's why I placed an order underneath that bar. I think maybe you're right, my stop loss probably belongs above here rather than where it is. But I'm looking for a better entry. And I think the better entry for me will probably come as a false break or another lower high on this little sequence that we're getting here. So I'm willing to look for that. If that happens, I may get a far better entry. Are you with the bias?
Oh, for sure, mate. I mean, we're looking at short S&P. Let me tell you what my price would be. US 500. Let's make sure we've got. I've got a slightly different price on this broker. But let me see. Oh gosh, yeah. So I'd be looking at a price of around about 9 pips higher than where we are. So be looking at 52.14.
So pretty much where my stop loss is.
Oh, is that where your stop loss is? Is it 52.14? So nine pips higher?
52.25, I've got it. Stop loss is at 52.25.
Stop loss is 52.25. So I'll be looking at 52.14.
Okay. Why?
Because if I go to if you go to the daily,
Yep.
and you draw a horizontal level along that yeah, and move it up, 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 move it up. There.
Yeah, gotcha.
That to me looks like the breakout point.
Yeah, under here, right?
Yeah, and also that would coincide. I mean, the trend line is slightly higher than that from what I can see. But I've got a slightly different trend line. I've gone from the previous swing low, but I don't think it.
Here.
Yeah,
Oh,
I've
here.
gone from there. I've gone
This
from
one.
that one. Yeah, because there's still enough touches.
There? Is that your trend line?
Yes, that is the trend line. But you could even knock it down to I knock you could knock it down to the so that one starts there. But you see when you go up, you see
Yeah.
the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bars there. Yeah, there.
Do you know what? Actually, that's an amazing subject that we've just touched on there. I don't know if you were in the room in Bali when I was doing trend line or trade line description.
Yes.
And I've been doing this for 100 years, right? Well,
Yeah.
almost 100 years, 99. And I found the hardest thing to do ever is to describe to people how I find trade lines.
Yes.
Because I say, oh no, you've got to have 2 candles higher and 2 candles higher and blah blah blah, and go through the whole exercise. But do you know what? Somebody's done that years and years ago and called them fractals, right?
Yeah.
So that's my description of a swing high or a swing low, or a high and a low. A high is a high and it's so easy to do. You just put them on your chart. Indicators, this is the Bill Williams indicator, fractals, and then they are. So that immediately is my
Yeah.
definition of a high or a low,
Yeah.
because it's got 2 candles either side of the high,
Yes.
2 candles either side of the low. So that doesn't qualify. That's for me. I mean,
Yeah,
it doesn't matter. Everyone's got their own version of trend lines, of course, but that doesn't qualify for me. So I wouldn't use that.
yeah.
So I'd
I
only
think
use
you're
these
right, mate.
points.
I tell you where there is probably a better trend line and the one that I would trust more, because the problem with that is it's a bit subjective. I agree with you about the fractals, and that could sort of like give you a bit more certainty, but that one's a little bit subjective. But if you've got the trend line from the very, very highest point, which you've got in place anyway, coming down, that suggests that that same price point is likely to be hit on Thursday. And that's where it becomes more interesting. You know, when the trend line has come some sort of time frame correlation. So
Yep.
the you know, if that was to if this price was to be in and around this point on Thursday, then I think that the trade becomes eminently more attractive.
So we're
Um,
talking here, right?
we are talking, yes, yes, exactly.
Yep. So
And then
52.14 in your case. Yep. Okay.
yeah, 52.14. So you know, and then when I kind of think about you know, that as a concept, then what I would look for is to see what is the potential pressure that could supply the trade on Thursday. And on Thursday, we've got ECB, but more importantly, we've got PPI numbers from the United States.
Yep.
So, you know, if I'm looking down at the week, Friday, okay, you got University of Michigan consumer sentiment, but really Thursday to me looks like the key day for the United States. Or maybe Wednesday actually, because you got core CPI. So it's possible that it could be the 10th. Now, if it was on the 10th, ooh, it could just about qualify. It could just about qualify, you know. I still think in and around that level. What might happen on the 10th is it might just pop a little bit higher and create a better signal. Um, but you know, Wednesday or Thursday to me would be the time that I wouldn't be putting any orders in just yet. I'd be looking at this and seeing where price is kind of like leading to on Wednesday and Thursday. And if it's in and around that area, then I think it becomes a much more interesting prospect.
Well, I
Um,
think that's completely feasible because, as I said with the Nasdaq, you've got this big bearish engulfing bar. You've now got an
yeah,
inside bar. You've now got the pivots very, very close together. So
yeah,
I would anticipate that we are going to see some sideways movement
yeah,
until something else happens. And that
yeah,
something else could well be the CPI figures.
yeah. I mean, you wouldn't imagine this would move too much in any direction before that. Um,
Yeah.
you know,
So that
but to
makes
be
sense.
fair, if it is going to move in either direction, I would still back the short. And I would back the short to the point where it pays. You know, that's sort of like would be my reasoning behind it. Certainly
Mm.
with a trend line kind of analysis, it still doesn't suggest that high that bearish bar, if the stops were in that area, would get taken out. So it would be okay to hold. And then it's just, you know, the question is how obsessed are we with price? I mean, I'm obsessed with it, really. I can't deny it. But it would still look okay to me.
Yep. Okay. Well, I think it's certainly worth keeping our eye on, no matter what.
Yeah,
If I saw that false break, I would probably change my entry. But at the moment, I think the safest place for my entry is pretty much where it is, because I think if it does come down here, it's going to honour that bar,
yeah, yeah.
and that should lead to lower prices, obviously.
Yeah, I
Anyway,
do. Do you know, mate, I do really like the Nasdaq actually. I mean, I wouldn't go with the S&P, because I think if anything is going to short and short heavy, it'd be the Nasdaq.
okay.
But I, you know, not that I don't agree with it because of your analysis. Because if the Nasdaq's coming down, the S&P is definitely coming down as well. The you know, the companies in the Nasdaq are way too big to not drag the
Yes,
S&P. So
yes, indeed.
So yeah, but I like that, mate. I think you are actually talking me into putting my order in, and I'm going to do it.
Cool. here we go. All right, what else is on the horizon in terms of currencies? As I said at the outset, I haven't got much. I'm warm on the Aussie, I'm warm on the yen, and I'm warm on the, what's the other one I said? Dollar. So that makes it very difficult for Aussie dollar for me. And I said I'd show you what I was seeing on a weekly basis. And this is very much a case of if X doesn't happen, Y probably will. And where I put that is pretty much there on this trend line on Aussie versus the dollar. So beautiful bounce point. We've got a nice support level here, and price has got above that. Yet my contention would be if it fails to stay above that level, then it's probably going to come through the bottom of here and test these lows. This is not a prediction saying it's going short by any stretch. But what I am saying is if it fails to go long here, it's probably in a good position here to go short underneath that bar because it has already shown a break of that trend line, a break of this support level, and a retest of that on a smaller time frame, which is pretty much there. That's what I'm seeing. So not saying it's going short, but I'm saying if it doesn't go long, it's probably going to test this low.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. Look at that lovely little morning star there as well.
Yeah. But on the flip side of that, I suppose there's tails either side. So I'm not sure on this, to be honest. I'm really not sure. Because I still see on the dollar, and going back to the indexes, the dollar index has broken out of this long-term trend line. And it's retested that as well. So although we've got two spinning tops in a row, we are still clear of that trend line.
Yeah, do you know what though? That price action could quite easily come down and hug that trend line. Certainly on a weekly basis, you know, that could come down and hug that trend line and still be above it.
Sure. And I think that probably tells me everything I need to know. I'm not sure. I'm just not sure. And I think that's where I started today. The one thing I am reasonably confident about is that the Kiwi is under pressure. And I expect that to get down to here.
I think you're right. I mean, the RBNZ's rate decision is the elephant in the room.
Yeah, that's going to be the kicker, isn't it? Obviously.
Yeah.
Are they likely to do anything? I wouldn't think so, but
no, no. I think that they'd be a little bit crazy to do anything actually. But I tell you what, though, one thing I did see from New Zealand was if you look at the M2 money supply for a lot of these countries, the M2 money supply is actually kicking up. I mean, when you sort of like think of rates, monetary policy and tightening, usually money supply would come down, you know, during this period, and it had been coming down. But you look at you look at in Japan, it's starting to kick up a bit. You look in the UK, starting to kick up a bit. New Zealand, quite the opposite. You know, not by a lot, but enough, you know, to sort of say, well, actually, their monetary policy is still probably on the tighter side in comparison to some other currencies and some other central banks.
Do you think they made a mistake when they last raised their interest rates?
I wonder whether when they last raised their interest rates.
Well, they led the pack, right?
They did.
As is not unusual for the Kiwi. They were the first one to raise interest rates. Yet they haven't been the first one to cut interest rates. And that's interesting in my book.
No. I think
the world's got a bit of a problem. They are going to cut interest rates. Sorry, mate.
Well, I think the world's got a bit of a problem because you know, one of the reasons that we've seen inflation, you know, remain relatively sticky and stay where it is because of energy. And if you look at oil, WTI, you know, particularly, it's on its way again. I mean, it's sort of only $15 away from $100 a
Yep.
barrel again. So, things are problematic, for the world. It's difficult to know whether a central bank should be raising interest rates or not. When it comes down to it, I wonder whether any monetary intervention is actually going to be helpful anyway. Is there an argument, or definitely is an argument, and how sound is the argument to say if you just leave things alone, then they will sort themselves out? I know they try and decrease the pain, but I don't know whether in the end it really does that much. I don't know whether it sort of like really, really helps in the way that they suggest that they are meant to be helping. Because if you've got companies that are struggling during the bad times, and they close and people lose their jobs, doesn't it just kind of sort the wheat from the chaff? I mean, I know it sounds quite harsh, but that doesn't happen in the wild, where the weakest are able to kind of get propped up and survive. Do you not kind of get a better market structure if entrepreneurs that go out and have a good idea and work hard actually continue to do well, and the ones that kind of have a harebrained scheme and sort of do okay, but they know how to pull the right levers, they manage to survive. I just don't know whether, I know that's quite a kind of base and binary way of thinking about it, but I just wonder whether if they just left things alone, they would sort themselves out. Because in the end, inflation would come down, would curb. Because if inflation is caused
The
by,
market will work it out, is what you're saying.
yeah, because if one of the sort of problems with inflation this time around was unbelievably low supply sort of after COVID, so prices started to spike, but
Yep.
then they kind of sort themselves out again. And now you've kind of got this situation. If people lose their jobs because they're in the wrong industry, or the companies they're working for are just a load of rubbish, and people aren't buying certain goods because, again, they're just not very, very good, doesn't that kind of like sort the inflation situation out on its own, rather than without central banks intervention? I just don't know whether they fix things.
The animal kingdom worked that out since time immemorial, right? It's called survival
Exactly.
of the fittest.
Yeah. And the problem, because the problem with all this monetary intervention, I mean, you got GDP you got debt to GDP in Italy 140%. Debt is at 140% of GDP. In actual fact, they're saying they're not going to go to 140% of GDP, the debt, which suggests they're at 139 or in and around.
Yeah.
So you got crazy
And they'll
debt
fudge
over
that
there.
number anyway. So
Yeah, but surely it would have been better, though, all those years ago when you had the kind of sovereign debt crisis in Greece and Italy and everything, to let them fail. Don't bail them out. Let them fail and figure it out, and grow again. Because I don't see
disagree.
all this. It just seems to prolong the long drawn out pain, rather than just going, right, you just got to sort it out. You just got to sort your stuff out and get yourself together. You will work it out. We'll give you some different help, because all that really they're doing with monetary intervention is weakening the currency all the time. So inflation then ultimately kind of like gets worse and worse and worse, and people get more and more hurt because they think that what they're holding in their wallets is money, but it's not, because it's just decreasing in value. And I don't know. I think I'm not saying it's the answer, mate, because I haven't studied enough economic history to know whether it's the answer, but every now and again, I just have this kind of moment where I think, why don't you just leave things alone and see what happens? See if it'll sort itself out.
I've been thinking that for many, many years, but it doesn't seem to happen. And the reason it doesn't happen is a 5-letter word, isn't it? Greed.
Yeah, greed. Well, and jobs for the boys, isn't it? I mean, it's what would a central bank do if they didn't tinker? Oh, there wouldn't be a job for them.
What a good idea that would be at the end
Yeah.
of the day.
Yeah,
And
I think
look,
so.
Economists I can't even spell the word right. That's how bad I am at reading economies. But it's common sense to me that if things were left alone, everything would find its level. just like
Yeah.
water does, just like the animal kingdom does. Everything will work in harmony if left alone, left to its own devices over
Yeah.
time. And it's only, well, goodness me, we get into a very, very deep argument here, capitalism versus communism versus blah, 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 blah. And I'm not going there, but idealism doesn't exist. We know that. We have to find a balance somewhere. If that's a central banker in the economy world, then I guess there's something up with which we must put, as Winston Churchill once said. Is there a better way? I'm sure there is.
Yeah.
Can we find it? Doubt it, because nobody's got the need to find it apart from those who can't speak, if I can put it that way. Because the people who are rich and in control of things are happy with that. They're not going to change that.
No, no.
And
no,
the people who are poor and can't change it, can't change it. So there you are. You're stuck.
Yeah. Yeah. We are
End of
stuck.
sermon.
Yeah. I've just noticed that George is in the room.
Our good friend George. Is he back home in South Africa? Hello, George. Well, he was there. He is there.
He was there. He's probably falling asleep with our preaching. I can't blame him. I mean, I haven't got anything else, mate. I don't know if Roberto and Gary have, who are also in the room as trading buddies.
There's one other one I was.
Sorry, I couldn't find my unmute button.
No worries, mate. We thought you put you to sleep.
No, you didn't put me to sleep at all. Yeah, good to hear.
I mean, we're putting each other to sleep. I mean,
I
think we were putting each other to sleep.
I'll just share this quickly before we go to you, George. I forgot to do that before.
Sure.
The only other thing I've got on the horizon is Kiwi versus the Swissy. Now, the Swissy's been under pressure for the last few weeks, yet the Kiwi hasn't been able to breach that resistance level.
No.
And that's pretty clear to me. It just cannot get through this level. Here. Tried, failed. Tried, failed. Tried, failed. Tried, failed. Now, there's a theory in trading or anything else that the more times you punch at a level, the more likely it is to break. I don't necessarily subscribe to that theory. I don't disagree with it, but I also think the more times you try, sometimes they're going to give up. And that's where I see this. This is completely binary, in my humble opinion. It's either going to break this and go to buggery, or it's going to fail and come back to a support level. So that's why I'm very keen on Kiwi Swissy at the moment, looking for a reason to trade it. Don't care in which direction, but it's got to tell me the direction. My bias would be short at the moment, but that could change very, very quickly. Reason I'm short biased is because it can't get through this level, and it's given me a big reversal bar on the daily last Thursday. I'm just looking for a reason. So price back under here and retest the level, I'm short, or a lower high in here somewhere, I'm short. So that's the only one this week, other than what I've already given you, that I'm really interested in.
Fair. Yeah, I think that's another interesting currency pair, actually, just because of its inability to kind of get anywhere.
I'm thinking that we're getting more people in the room right now because the timing's wrong. Hi, Andre. Hi, Linda. Nice to see you in the room. We have been going for about 45 minutes. I'm guessing that the timing is wrong because of daylight saving. From now till October, we will be at 2:55 Singapore and Hong Kong, 4:55 Australia, and same old time in London, 5 minutes to 8, because that's when we're concentrating as London opens. So hopefully you've got those times down pat, and we can get you in here on time next Monday. George, how was the trip back, mate? And would you rather be in Bali or home?
No, I'm so glad to be back home.
Yeah, same.
Yeah,
it's too bloody hot there.
Yeah.
Great to catch up with you, mate. So it really was.
Oh, that was good. Yeah, that was a good bit.
It just it took me a long while to recover, and it's just the week after was just a waste.
Yeah.
Which is very strange. I'm pretty quick to recover from jet lag, but this just didn't work for me. So, but I was fine, and I was at home getting spoiled and just relaxed.
Nice. So
Yeah.
you're back trading?
Back trading, and it's an interesting day today because I've spent probably the whole of last year revisiting my whole strategy, my edge, the way that I trade, and back tested a lot of things over and over again. And you know, I'm always going to say I like to just go live into the market, don't hardly do any back testing. But I had to back test, and I've got a slightly different way I'm looking at my markets. So
Oh, nice.
what I have, I'm running with the live trial. It's not live trial, live version of it now. From now up to end of May, the back testing has shown me that the results will be pretty good. And what it is really is, I started off by saying, how much time do I have in the market that I love trading, as you know, that I can fully in the market, fully energized. Then I looked at all my strategies across multiple markets to see in which markets do they set up more often in that time frame that I'm in, and what should I weed out, or, you know, because I was looking at over 21 different markets, indexes, currencies, commodities, the whole bang. Eventually, I narrowed down to 6 that I'm looking at. And I probably might guess 1 or 2 currencies, but the rest you won't guess. I'm looking at Euro versus the dollar, USD CAD. I'm looking at Euro Aussie, Aussie Yen, and then 2 indexes that I've barely looked at, Nikkei 225 and Aussie 200. And the reason for dropping my favorite DAX and UK 100 is I found that there is like a 4-hour window where more often than not, those markets, there's a lot of drama trying to break out, trying to do all sorts of things. Eventually, you know, we do get breakouts sometimes end up in trading ranges. But if I look at that same time frame for these indexes, which are outside of their opening hours, you know, the drama is not there, but you still get trading ranges and trends, etc. But you have a lot more opportunities for the strategies that I trade to look at. So I'm looking at 6 markets, looking at being in the market from 5 a.m. my time to 5 p.m. my time as the primary times. Of course, I do take breaks and stuff. If I'm not doing that, I'm going to be sitting on the couch watching Netflix, and I'd rather be in the market. And that's just my reality. That's you know, I don't have many other things I can do within that time, especially during school time. And you know, I will work at this for 4 days, Monday to Thursday. You know, if I got energy on a Friday, I'll pop in Friday morning. If not an issue. So it's a four-day thing, 6 markets, 4 hours in the market. The results, you know, look pretty fantastic on the back testing. Now I gotta go and see for myself the reality of it as I execute.
That's
today's
brilliant.
day 1. Yeah.
Mate, can I just get that clear in my own mind?
Yes.
Yes, the 6 markets got that. Yes, the 5 to 5 got that. But inside that 5 to 5, did I hear you say you wanted to trade outside of the volatile areas or the recognized, like openings, the market opens?
No, I've dropped 2 indexes that tend to be quite volatile within that time frame. That's the DAX and the FTSE. I've just dropped those, but I'm in the market trading without looking at those, because there are a lot more opportunities that I'll get rather than to be sitting out waiting for things to set out in that 4 or 5 hour time frame.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So I will be here fully active. You know, looking for trends set up. I mean, the screen, that the chart that you have, I mean, this bull trend here from around 5 Feb, that just ran up to the top there. That can occur on a 5-minute time frame, and that's just an hour's work. And within those markets, within that time frame, you can come across 2 or 3 of those in a day. And if you just manage one well, your returns will be pretty good. So that's the driving mindset that I have. Instead of
let me blow my mind and put a 5-minute chart up here, George.
Yeah. Put up any 5-minute chart. Put up that 5-minute chart.
Yeah, well, it's taking a while to build for some reason. I don't know why. There we go.
Well,
okay, so with my bias short here, all I would need to do is look for my normal setups. What are you looking for?
Well, if this was the chart I was looking at, let's say this was occurring within the time frame, and it is 625. That reversal there into the bull trend, that pullback, the pullback after the breakout, I'll be buying that.
Sorry, let's get that straight again, mate. Sorry.
So at 640, so go to your left at 645.
645.
Yeah, just
when's that? That's the last candle, current candle.
No, on the
these
left.
are the train tracks. The train track low you got there, mate. The very low sort of swing.
Here.
The lowest. One back and one more.
No. All the way to the left. Look at where you got 8 April at the bottom there. It says 625, 645. The low.
Oh, okay, got you.
There.
Right, okay.
From that low, if you were to put in the 10 EMA, that bull candle is likely to be breaking above the 10 EMA. So just stick that in there for us. Yep. Okay. Gotcha. So I'll be looking for that breakout, those 2 bull candles. There's a pullback, the red candle.
Here and here. Pullback here.
And that resumption I'll be buying.
So you buy this bar or this
above
bar?
here? Yes.
This one or this one?
No, the one before.
This one. Yep.
That one, yes. So I'll be buying that, and I'd have my stop beneath that first large candle, just a little bit.
Oh, okay. Stop. This one.
No, this one. That one. Yep.
Yep.
And then I'll be exiting when you break beneath the 10 EMA up there again.
Back here. Yep.
Yeah. And that's at least maybe 1.5 to 1. And within the markets that I look at in a day, you should be able to find 2 or 3 of those. So,
so does this qualify as one?
No,
so you'd buy here.
Nope.
No.
Sorry, the first one, no. The second one, I would look by that.
The second one. This one.
Yes, that one, the candle before, I'd buy that.
This one, yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, buy above that. And I probably would have exited when it came back to break even. I wouldn't hold it.
Yep.
Right now, nothing because of the dodges there. But if we were to get a pullback later on, as long as I don't get tails on top, then I'd look to jump in. So
nice.
Quite a few trades will be break even because you don't know what's going to happen. You got to take them when they set up. So if you do that, I mean, it's a system of trade in a basket of markets, but you really got to just optimize the time. That's what I've spent time back testing and checking and whatever, and I'm happy to now trade in that fashion and see how it goes.
Well done, mate. I mean, this is the thing, isn't it? You just you know, you put the work in. Ultimately, you will get the answers you need. Because it's scientific in a way, isn't it, George? You know, you sort of like you see the problem. You know, you sort of like you obviously sort of something wasn't sitting well with you, and you know whether it's markets or whatever it is, time of your life, you know, time in your day, anything like that. And then you just sort of think, okay, well, I need an idea, I need a solution here. So then you go back and test it, and you come up with a solution, and now you're in that kind of I guess the experimental phase where you're actually sort of like allocating some real money to it, and that's the process ultimately, isn't it? That's what we're always sort of trying to do. Sort of, it is, as I say, it's quite scientific. A lot of it. I know people say that trading isn't a science, and it isn't, but I think the process of coming up with, you know, an approach to the market, that first bit is quite scientific.
It is. I mean, because for a long time, and we've all kind of looked at where you say, well, this particular strategy is a 60% strategy, etc., and it is. But you're coming up by just going through your charts and looking for that particular thing when it sets up. You don't actually sit back to say, well, how often does it set up? When does it set up? You know, how can I get a basket of trades where in the time that I'm in, there's a higher probability that it actually sets up. And if you can get that right, you know, in the back testing, some weeks, you know, the returns are good, but they're not that dramatic. And some weeks are pretty dramatic. Now, you don't know what's going to happen in a month, but in a 20-day month, I mean, I'm working over 2 months in a 40 working days. Everything is going to set up in that time frame. It just comes down now to execution, managing your trades, and seeing how it comes up. And it's I think only if you trade in the way that I trade, 5-minute time frames, you got specific charts. Because I mean, if this was a daily chart or a weekly chart, you guys would be in it from when I started, you know, say getting, and you'd be holding it for weeks on end. It's the same. The price action patterns are absolutely the same. It just depends what time frame you're on. Now, I'm looking for what you'd hold for weeks on end. I want to just hold for an hour or two, and that's it.
Yeah.
And then I'm done. And I can invest the time, you know, for 4 days. And Friday, if I want to sleep, I sleep. If I want to take the missus out, I do that. So it's a 4-day lifestyle, if you like, that I'm kind of working on. And 3 days off just to do nothing.
Recharge.
Yeah. Recharge.
The whole thing is, George, and you're a perfect example of that. It's just not an idea that you find, oh, this might be a good idea, let's trade it. It's a matter of, this might be a good idea, let's explore to see if it works. Let's look left, right? And see if that actually works.
Yeah, let's look left. And it takes a lot of time to sit down and do it.
Yes, was it Newton that said, is he what's his third law or second law of thermodynamics? To each and every action there is an equal and opposite reaction, and that couldn't be further. Couldn't be more truthful than in currency trading or any trading at all. If you do the work, then the results should come. If they don't, then go back to square one and try it all over again.
Yeah. I'm going to need to push off, guys. I'm afraid I've got Molly downstairs on her holiday, so I need to go and check she's not watching somebody play Mario on telly.
Okay, well, it's pretty much time to go. Anyway, those of you who've joined late, thanks for joining us. Absolutely, but as I said before, the timing has changed a little bit due to daylight saving time in the UK. Whenever the UK opens, we are always here 5 minutes before. So it's 5 minutes before 8 a.m. in the UK. Second law of thermodynamics. Thank you, Roberto. I knew it was one of them, but I just couldn't quite drag it out of my brain, which is getting very, very old these days. So thanks for joining us, guys. Thanks for being our trading buddies for the day, albeit for a short time. Ash, of course, thank you for being my trading buddy forever. And George, of course, thank you for being my trading buddy of late. Have a wonderful week ahead, everyone, and we'll catch you next Monday. Bye-bye. For now. Hooroo.